So the first speaker, Dr. Jaiswal from Nepal. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. At the outset, I must thank Admiral Chauhan for this opportunity. I could not participate last year, but I'm glad that I could make it this year. Ladies and gentlemen, now I'd like to take you to the Himalayas at a different altitude altogether, away from the sea level, where the heat of geopolitics remains the same, like the Indo-Pacific region. When I say that I come from Nepal and I'm at an Indo-Pacific conference, people question, does maritime security matters to Nepal? And how come you're an Indo-Pacific? You just want to be a part of a conference, enjoy the hospitality and all. And I have certain claims. I say that Nepal and India have open border, and it's very open, so open that the person from this row can go to the other row and there is no disturbance. It is almost impossible to enter this building, but it's very possible to cross Nepal-India border across 1,800 kilometers. So we are open means in real, it's open border. There is no securitized border. You can see in the map there is Nepal and India, and there is person, there are a few animals. It's all open border. So that is the kind of border we have. We don't need a visa. There is no security checks. There are few custom points which you can skip if you want. And there are limited, there are 2 dozen out of 1,800 kilometers. There are 24 security checks, customs. If you want to pay, you can. Otherwise, you're most welcome. So that is the kind of border that we enjoy. So when we have that kind of border, we say that our border not ends at Nepal-India border. That's a political border which we see in the map. The real border of Nepal-India ends at the Indian Ocean. So virtually, I claim that we are a virtual maritime country, and we have security concerns which are real. The maritime security concerns of Nepal are real, though we have virtual maritime border. Second is that we are part of BIMSTEC, which gives us access to Bay of Bengal region. So when we have access to Bay of Bengal region, the concerns of Bay of Bengal region, the concern that comes from Indian Ocean or the Indo-Pacific region is a concern for Nepal as well. Third is that when this Indo-Pacific concept started emerging and there was differences on India and China, where India sends signals to China that you come to the Indo-Pacific and I'll challenge you. China started to send signals to India, you come to the Himalayas and I'll challenge you. That's why you can hear that series of standoff, border standoff incursions started emerging at the Himalayas. So there is deep relation between the Indo-Pacific water and the high Himalayas. They are interrelated. More competition in Indo-Pacific will bring more competition in the Himalayan region. That is where Nepal has concerns. So that's why I think a country from Nepal, which is not having a direct border with Indian Ocean, has concerns, and we want to be part of this discussion, and we want to work on the Indo-Pacific framework. Nepal Institute for International Cooperation and Engagement, which I head, we are working on Nepal's outlook to Indo-Pacific. At the moment, we are learning how the countries are coming with different Indo-Pacific framework and how Nepal can contribute to it, benefit from it, and be a part of these discussions, and it's a learning experience for us. You will be surprised to know that we have resolved almost all the border points with China, but now China has started coming with new claims on our border. Humla is one where Chinese have started saying that certain points in Nepal belongs to us, and this is the impact of those competitions. So Indo-Pacific region has the competition, the Indo-Pacific concept, everything has a repercussion on Nepal. We all know that without securitizing the Himalayan region, it is challenging for India to make a remarkable progress on Quad. Now, let's see what is Nepal's understanding on Indo-Pacific and Quad. I think Nepal sees great opportunity in the Indo-Pacific region and the Indo-Pacific minilaterals. It believes that Himalayan region has a nut point location for competition in Indo-Pacific region, and it is cautiously optimistic. The commander of US Indo-Pacific Command, Admiral Philip Davidson, visited Nepal in January 2019, and he reiterated how Nepal has a crucial role to play in stabilizing the Indo-Pacific region. Nepal also believes that the Indo-Pacific strategy has led to the extension of bilateral and multilateral engagement in South Asia. Himalayan countries such as Nepal has crucial, especially due to the strategic location between two Asian economic and military giants, India and China. And as the current chair nation of SAARC and the member of BIMSTEC, US that Nepal can play a crucial role in the Indo-Pacific region. Thus, United States wants greater role for Nepal at the Indo-Pacific strategy as part of the strategy's increasing regional connectivity. Similarly, in the Indo-Pacific strategy report of US Department of Defense, Nepal was added to the US partnership program in the Indo-Pacific. Nepal and Sri Lanka were given the status of potential partner in the strategy, and the US offered to hold a joint military exercise with Nepal for disaster management and humanitarian assistance. When it comes to Indo-Pacific, China factor is important, which we all know. It is one of the major factors for Quad or Indo-Pacific, as China perceives these initiatives aimed at China. In recent times, China has increased its presence in South Asia through BRI, and new form of BRI, GDI, GSI, and different are emerging. Now, let's look at how does this happening. Let's see how China is engaging around the world. First is that China has created space around the world at two levels. First, when it emerges as a power, you create a space around the world. United States is every country's neighbor because it's a global power. Now, China is a power, and China is everyone's neighbor. Countries around the world want to engage with China, and that is how China has created space. Second is that China has also created a space around the world when the traditional partners, like Nepal and India, when they fail to meet the desires, aspirations, and dreams, then China created space. It's same with other countries. Sri Lankan first went to India with Haman Tota, and India said, oh, we're not interested. Then they went to China. It's same around the world. Sometimes when the traditional partner make flawed policies, wrong policies, when they're not able to meet the new dreams, new desires, when India is rising and countries in the region want to rise, and India says, let's wait for a few years, I'll come back to you. They say, no, I don't want to wait. Let's go to China in the meanwhile. That is how China has created space around the world. So that is two. Now, if you look at China's engagement around the world, they engage at four levels: trade and investment, which is with almost 100% country of the world. And then the third stage is defense cooperation, which they have with a number of countries. In Nepal, they have started doing that. And the fourth and the final lap is political advice, where CPC or China started advising the political parties how we should govern, how we should rule, how we should bring progress like China. In Nepal, we have started doing that. In Nepal, we started having conferences like Xi Jinping's thought on socialism, Chinese model of governance, Xi Jinping's model of governance, China Rise. These are the seminars that were held in Kathmandu at the time. They started bringing the left parties together, and that is where we have concern. We have no problem with China engaging on trade and investment, but when it comes to political advice and defense cooperation, the intervention that they brings to countries like Nepal, who believes in democracy, is challenging, and those are concerns for us. In Nepal, Chinese foreign policy is to dilute India's predominant position, which is the fact at the moment. In Nepal, almost 2/3 of the voters are of left party. Almost 60 to 70% of the voters are from different left parties. And we have seen that there is rampant corruption, slow development, massive poverty, and these questions are the democratic systems. And that is where China has created space, that democracy can have alternatives. In the past, China had played a role in bringing the left parties together. They were able to bring two major parties, and that became very absolute kind of corrupt government. And finally, at the end, they were able to split. And they had a very strong government at the time where China could interfere into Nepal and had a strong inroads into the country. China aims at the moment to have at least one left party in the government, because through them they can have control, they can take care of their interests. So China's aim is to have at least one left party in the government. Whoever is in power, doesn't matter. If they can have absolute majority of the left party, wonderful. If not, at least one faction in the coalition government. Now let's look at India-China competition in Nepal. As I said, China's aim and objective is to gradually dilute India's preeminent position in Nepal and that is where China is working on by expanding its influence. India is the traditional development part of Nepal. The first airport, the first hospitals, highways, colleges, everything is by India. But in recent times, China is competition. China is competing in Nepal through different development projects. While China wants to connect Kathmandu and Lumini through Tibetan Railway, Kinhai Railway, India is also working to connect Nepal at 4 different places by Indian Railway. Similarly, in response to China's BRI, India has come with BIMSTEC Master Plan for Transport Connectivity. And connectivity is one of the major issues that can bring influence to the country like Nepal, which lacks proper connectivity and development. India is Nepal's largest trading partner. China is the second. Strategic ties and military-to-military relations between Nepal and India has been deep-rooted and historic. Now China is emerging in this sector. Recently, China conducted 2 joint military exercises with Nepal Army, and a major portion of Chinese assistance is in the security sector, unlike in the past. In the past, Nepal used to engage in this sector only with India and US. Now it's China. China has given access to 4 Chinese seaports in Tianjin, Shenzhen, Langyang, and Zhangjin. I don't know whether I pronounce it well, but you can read it. And 3 land ports like Lanchao, Lhasa, and Sigase. And this clearly indicates that China wants Nepal's reliance towards north, not towards Bay of Bengal. Let me come to the conclusion. The impact of Quad or Indo-Pacific is visible in the Himalayas. Nepal and the other Himalayan countries will face the Chinese pressure. In Nepal, Indo-Pacific word is a taboo. Like in China, you can't criticize the Communist Party. In Nepal, Indo-Pacific is equivalent. In recent times, unlike the past, China has been pushing its ideology through conferences, virtual summit on Xi Jinping's thought that I mentioned. Chinese socialism, Chinese model of governance are often held in Kathmandu, which is a threat to democratization of Nepal and the region. Though Nepal aims to engage with China economically, it is uncomfortable with the recent interventions where China had tried to bring the left parties together. But Nepal has no problem engaging with China economically because all of China's rivals are the biggest trading partner of China. US, India, Australia, Europe, all are the biggest trading partner, and we're not hesitant to engage China on economic front. US want to incorporate New Delhi into the region-wide security architecture, as US desire India to play a greater role as a net security provider. Through Indo-Pacific strategy, the US aims to maintain its strategic primacy in the Indo-Pacific region and promote liberal economic order while preventing China from establishing new sphere of influence. This is where the Indo-Pacific economic framework can come into the picture and engage in Nepal. Thus, India has to play a greater role. Himalayan states has poor infrastructure. During the Cold War, the US was one of the major partners to support the development of physical infrastructure, but it lost its focus after the end of Cold War. This is where China grabbed the opportunity and expanded its strategic assets. Quad countries need to realize it and act upon. BIMSTEC connectivity plans are too slow, and they have to work on. One area where Quad can focus in Nepal is clean energy. Nepal has huge hydropower potentials. More than 40,000 megawatt is feasible, where we have harnessed only 2,000 megawatt. But recently, Nepal and India agreed to work on 20,000 megawatt of electricity, which will be exported to India and Bangladesh, which is a positive sign. A small state do not want to caught into geopolitical rivalry at the moment. Thus, they prefer economic initiative over strategic. And it has sent mixed signals, want to act on cautiously without offending China. So this is where Nepal is working on. Thus, to begin, the engagement in Indo-Pacific region should be focused more on non-nutrition security issues like climate change, climate security, clean energy, not on military component, which is the fact that roadmap at present as the country in the region are focusing more on connectivity and economic development. Thank you.